Which is better and why? Term or whole life insurance? One thing that's been overlooked in this debate is that there are valid reasons to get a permanent policy, whether whole life or some type of universal life, that have nothing to do with either investing or building up a tax-free nest egg. Suppose one of your life goals is to leave behind a legacy for your family. It would be nice to be able to leave them a fortune you accumulated yourself, but what if you end up not living long enough to accumulate that fortune? A permanent policy creates a legacy that can be passed on to your family no matter how young you are when you die. And unlike a term policy, which can only guarantee your legacy up to the term's expiration date, no more than 30 years out, a permanent policy guarantees your legacy no matter how long you live. Term policies are only cheap until the term expires. This is because the odds are overwhelmingly high that, come the end of the term, you'll still be alive. 98% of term policies end up not paying out. This doesn't mean term policies are a waste of money, it just means they're suited to covering insurable needs with a predictable expiration date, such as a mortgage. But once the term is up, you might be able to renew the policy, but your premiums will skyrocket. Seriously, you could go from paying $100 per month to $1,000 per month. And your premiums will keep going up further every year you renew, until you reach a certain age, typically 95, at which point you won't be able to renew any further and will be left with nothing. In contrast, a permanent policy builds up a cash value that helps to defray the costs of insurance as you age, which is the primary purpose of the cash value, and if you live to a certain age, such as 100 or 120, your legacy gets paid out to you, and you can then make other arrangements to pass it on to your family. If you end up being able to build up your legacy on your own, and you decide you no longer need the permanent policy, you can cancel it and get the accumulated cash value refunded to you. If you were to cancel a term policy for the same reason, there would be no cash value to be refunded. If you don't already have a big pile of money to leave your family, a permanent policy can be a cost-effective way to create that pile immediately, leaving you free to concentrate on building assets for other purposes, like your own retirement. I will give you an answer that kind of looks behind the scenes. In all truth, no form of life insurance is an investment. When people think of investments, they think about putting money in some kind of growth vehicle. Over a certain amount of time, they hope it increases in value. The basic assumption is that they have that time. The funny thing about life insurance is that you can't really assume you have any time. The product is based on your mortality, and the fact of the matter is that no one really knows when your final day will come. More than that, the value of the policy is realized only when you die. That is its primary purpose, to provide money for the beneficiary when the insured passes away. So you can see how life insurance is the polar opposite of an investment. To realize the value of an investment, the investor has to live. To realize the value of life insurance, the insured has to die. How crazy is that? But there is a twist to this story. Whole life insurance, and for that matter, universal life insurance, does have a cash account that is available to the owner of the policy while the insured is alive. When compared to other vehicles into which people put their cash, this policy account has some incredibly attractive features. First of all, it can have really strong guarantees. Go ahead and compare the guaranteed rate of return in whole life insurance against other products that offer guarantees. You will be amazed. Second of all, the cash account receives very favorable tax treatment. Take a look at how other financial vehicles are taxed and then take a look at how life insurance is taxed. See what your financial advisor says about it. Third of all, the money is extremely liquid. Policy owners can take withdrawals or loans out of their policy and receive the money in just a few days. No credit checks or financial qualifications are required. People who like these features buy whole life insurance all the time. They use the cash to make a down payment on a mortgage, start a business, or as a reserve fund. Some keep the cash in the policy and use it to supplement their retirement. On top of all these uses, they have that survivor benefit to take care of family and business obligations when the time comes. This money may not be the primary reason for buying the product when they are younger, but they really appreciate having the policy later on in life when it becomes more important. So, life insurance is really not an investment, but it does have a whole bunch of perks that make it more desirable than a lot of investments out there. Life insurance. The best way to visualize this is to think carefully, who will suffer when you die? I know, many of us don't like to think of our mortality. However, this is an important matter to handle as soon as possible. The earlier you get it, the cheaper it is. You are less likely to be as healthy as you are right now. If you are married, this is important to have. If you have kids, this is a must. How much life insurance? $2 million should be plenty for most people. You can always start with less and increase, but having it is a must. What type of life insurance? Term life insurance is ideal. Do not get suckered into whole life insurance. It is better to separate investment and insurance. Whole life insurance has a very high premium and they try to invest your insurance money for you. Unfortunately, the return on these investments is mediocre. You are lucky if you get 4% average yearly. Instead, invest your money separately and have it under your control. You are likely to beat their interest rate. Also, my own reason for going against whole life insurance is that if the company goes belly up, now you have lost both your investment and your insurance in one fell swoop. Who will save you now? How long should you have life insurance for? I currently have 30-year term life insurance. My thought process is that I will be financially independent in 30 years and would no longer need a life insurance. I actually think we would achieve our goal in 20 years or less. Talk about being an optimist. The reason for life insurance is to make sure your family is secure in your absence. In 30 years, the kids would be old enough to survive on their own. Well, if they are anything like their dad and take their finance seriously. Where to get life insurance? Like most of these insurances and investments, make sure to take advantage of whatever is offered at your job first. In this case, however, I advise you to have a personal one that goes with you. When and if you leave your job or get fired, you will still have some coverage. Life insurance is one of those insurances you cannot get without an agent. You will have to do your research for an agent to use. I used Term for Sale to get quotes for mine.